Dr. Sarah Chun pressed her face against the porthole of the research vessel Neptune's eye, watching the dark Pacific waters stretch endlessly in every direction. 3 weeks into their deep-sea exploration mission, the team had discovered nothing more exciting than unusual thermal vents and some previously unknown species of deep-sea fish. Their funding was running out, and the pressure from the university to return with significant findings was mounting. "Sarah, you need to see this," called out Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's sonar specialist. His voice carried an urgency that made everyone in the control room stop what they were doing. Sarah hurried over to his station, where green lines danced across multiple screens in patterns she had never seen before. The sonar readings showed something massive lying on the ocean floor, nearly 4 miles beneath their vessel. The object measured approximately 800 feet in length and 200 feet in width, far too large and geometrically perfect to be any known geological formation. Its surface appeared smooth and metallic, reflecting the sonar waves in ways that defied explanation. Captain James Morrison, a weathered man who had spent 40 years exploring the world's oceans, studied the readings with growing amazement. He had seen shipwrecks, underwater mountains, and every type of natural formation the ocean could produce, but this was unlike anything in his experience. The object's shape was distinctly artificial, with clean lines and symmetrical proportions that nature simply did not create. "Could it be a submarine?" asked Dr. Lisa Park, the team's marine biologist. She leaned over Marcus's shoulder, studying the sonar display with scientific curiosity mixed with apprehension. Captain Morrison shook his head slowly. "No submarine ever built is that large. And look at these readings. The metal composition is showing up as something our instruments can't identify. The density readings are off the charts." Sarah felt her heart racing as she processed the implications. As the expedition's lead researcher, she knew they were looking at something that could change everything they understood about Earth's history. The object's position suggested it had been on the ocean floor for an extremely long time, possibly thousands of years, covered by layers of sediment that the sonar was penetrating. "We need to go down there," Sarah announced, her voice steady despite the excitement coursing through her. "We need to see this with our own eyes." The team spent the next 6 hours preparing for the descent. Their deep-sea submersible Challenger was equipped with the most advanced cameras and sampling equipment available, designed to operate at crushing depths where the pressure could instantly destroy any vessel not specifically engineered for such conditions. As they descended through the layers of ocean, the water around them grew increasingly dark and cold. Schools of bioluminescent creatures drifted past their lights like living stars, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that seemed fitting for what they were about to discover. At 2,000 feet, they passed through a layer of jellyfish so dense it looked like falling snow. At 8,000 feet, the last traces of sunlight disappeared completely, leaving them in a world of absolute darkness except for their powerful searchlights cutting through the water. Dr. Michael Torres, the team's archaeologist, monitored their depth readings with growing excitement. He had spent his career studying ancient civilizations, but nothing had prepared him for the possibility of discovering something this old and this advanced on Earth's ocean floor. "Approaching the target depth," announced Riley Foster, their pilot. She was one of the few people in the world qualified to operate submersibles at such extreme depths, and her steady hands guided them through the crushing darkness with practiced precision. The moment their lights illuminated the object, absolute silence filled the submersible. What lay before them was unmistakably artificial, but it was not human. The craft stretched out beyond their lights in both directions, its hull a seamless expanse of material that seemed to absorb and reflect their lights in impossible ways. The ship's design was elegant and alien, with flowing curves that suggested it had been grown rather than built. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner light that pulsed in slow, rhythmic patterns. The markings were unlike any written language from Earth's civilizations, flowing across the hull in spiraling patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "My God, whispered Dr. Park, pressing her hands against the porthole. How long has this been here? Sarah was recording everything on multiple cameras, knowing that no one would believe their discovery without extensive documentation. The ship appeared to be intact, showing no signs of the damage one would expect from a crash landing. Instead, it looked as though it had been deliberately placed on the ocean floor, waiting. As they circled the massive vessel, they discovered what appeared to be an entrance, a section of the hull that was slightly different in color and texture from the surrounding material. The area was marked with symbols that pulsed more brightly than the others, as if responding to their presence. "It's reacting to us," observed Dr. Torres, his voice filled with wonder and apprehension. Those symbols started glowing brighter when we approached. Riley maneuvered the submersible closer to the entrance, and they watched in amazement as the section of hull began to change. The solid material became translucent, then transparent, revealing a chamber filled with breathable atmosphere beyond. The ship is still active, Sarah realized, her scientific mind racing to process the implications. After all this time underwater, it's still functioning. They could see into the ship's interior, where soft bioluminescent lighting illuminated corridors and chambers that seemed to stretch deep into the vessel's heart. The architecture was organic and flowing, more like the inside of a living organism than a mechanical spacecraft. Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the radio from the surface ship. "What's your status down there? Your readings are showing some very unusual energy signatures." "Captain, we found something incredible," Sarah responded, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "This isn't just a ship, it's a fully functional alien vessel, and it appears to be inviting us inside." The team faced an impossible decision. Everything about the situation screamed danger, but the opportunity to make contact with alien technology was beyond their wildest dreams. As scientists, they knew they had to document everything, but as human beings, they were terrified of what they might find inside. Dr. Torres studied the symbols around the entrance, noting their similarity to certain patterns found in ancient cave paintings and megalithic structures around the world. "I think I've seen markings like these before," he said quietly. "Not exactly the same, but similar patterns in archaeological sites that we've never been able to explain." The implications were staggering. If this ship had been on Earth for thousands of years, it might explain some of the greatest mysteries in human history. Ancient astronaut theories that had been dismissed by mainstream science suddenly seemed far more plausible. As they watched, more sections of the ship began to glow, creating patterns that seemed almost like a star map. The vessel was definitely responding to their presence, activating systems that had remained dormant for untold centuries. "Look at the water around the ship," Dr. Park pointed out. "The marine life is different here. Those fish species, I've never seen anything like them." Indeed, the area around the alien vessel was teeming with creatures that seemed to defy classification. Translucent fish with internal light sources, jellyfish-like beings with complex geometric patterns, and other organisms that appeared to be hybrids of known species swam through the water in organized formations. "It's like the ship has created its own ecosystem," Dr. Park continued, her excitement growing. "These creatures might have been influenced by whatever technology is inside that vessel." The team spent hours documenting the exterior of the ship and the unusual life forms surrounding it. Every detail was recorded, measured, and analyzed, but they all knew that the real discoveries lay inside the waiting vessel. As their oxygen supplies began to run low, they faced the decision of whether to enter the ship immediately or return to the surface to resupply and plan their next move. The entrance remained open, the symbols continuing to pulse with welcoming light. "We should go back up," Riley advised. "We need more supplies and backup equipment if we're going to explore inside that thing." Sarah nodded reluctantly, knowing Riley was right, but hating to leave such an incredible discovery behind. As they began their ascent, she couldn't shake the feeling that the ship was watching them go, waiting patiently for their return. The journey back to the surface seemed to take forever, each of them lost in their own thoughts about what they had witnessed. When they finally broke through into sunlight, the normal world seemed almost surreal after the alien encounter in the depths. Captain Morrison and the rest of the crew crowded around them as they emerged from the submersible, eager to hear about their discovery. The video footage they had captured was beyond anything anyone had expected, showing clear evidence of advanced alien technology resting on Earth's ocean floor. "We need to contact the authorities," Captain Morrison said after reviewing their footage. "This is bigger than any of us can handle alone." But Sarah was already planning their next descent, her mind racing with questions that needed answers. Who had built the ship? How long had it been waiting in the depths? And, most importantly, what secrets lay hidden in its alien corridors? As night fell over the Pacific, the research vessel floated above one of the most significant discoveries in human history, while 4 miles below, an alien ship waited patiently for the return of Earth's children, its ancient systems humming with patient purpose in the eternal darkness of the deep ocean. The emergency response was swift and overwhelming. Within 18 hours of Dr. Chen's team reporting their discovery, the research vessel Neptunes, I was surrounded by military ships from 3 different nations. Admiral Rebecca Hayes of the United States Navy had taken command of the operation, declaring a 5-mile exclusion zone around the site. Dr. Chen stood on the deck of the command vessel USS Leviathan, watching as teams of specialists from around the world were helicoptered in to join the investigation. Marine biologists, xenobiologists, linguists, physicists, and military personnel crowded the ship's decks, all eager to be part of humanity's first contact with alien technology. Dr. Chen, I need to understand exactly what you found down there, Admiral Hayes said, approaching with a tablet displaying the sonar readings and video footage. Her expression was a mixture of excitement and deep concern. "My superiors are treating this as a potential national security threat, but they also recognize the scientific importance." Sarah reviewed the footage with the Admiral, pointing out the ship's response to their presence and the organized behavior of the surrounding sea life. "It's not just a crashed vessel," she explained. "The ship is actively monitoring us, and it seems to have been maintaining some kind of ecosystem around itself for possibly thousands of years." Dr. Elena Volkov, a xenobiologist from Moscow University, joined their conversation. She had been studying the biological samples Dr. Park had managed to collect during their first descent. "The organisms we found near the ship show genetic modifications that are impossible by natural evolution," she reported. "Someone or something has been deliberately altering Earth's marine life using advanced biotechnology." The implications were staggering. If aliens have been influencing life on Earth for millennia, it would explain numerous gaps in the evolutionary record and provide answers to questions that had puzzled scientists for decades. Commander David Kim, the military's lead dive specialist, approached with diving equipment specially modified for the extreme depths. "We're ready for the next descent, but I want a full military escort. We have no idea what we might encounter inside that ship." Sarah felt frustrated by the military's heavy-handed approach, but she understood their concerns. First contact protocols had been theoretical until now, and no one knew how to proceed with an actual alien encounter. The descent team consisted of Dr. Chun, Dr. Torres, Commander Kim, and Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum physicist from Tokyo who specialized in exotic energy signatures. Their submersible Deep Explorer was equipped with every scientific instrument available, along with military-grade cameras and communication equipment. As they descended through the familiar layers of ocean, Dr. Tanaka monitored energy readings that were becoming increasingly unusual. "I'm detecting quantum fluctuations unlike anything in our physics textbooks," she reported. "The ship is generating some kind of field that's affecting space-time around it." When they reached the alien vessel, they found it had changed. The entire hull was now glowing with soft, rhythmic light, and the symbols covering its surface were moving in complex patterns. The ship appeared to be fully awakened, responding to the increased activity above. "It knows we're here," Commander Kim observed, his military training making him wary of anything that could anticipate their movements. The question is whether it sees us as friends or threats. Dr. Torres was frantically recording the symbol patterns, using advanced computer algorithms to search for linguistic structures. I'm getting matches with ancient Sumerian, Egyptian, and Mayan writing systems, he announced excitedly. Not exact matches, but similar mathematical and geometric principles. The entrance that had opened for them during their first visit was now wide open, revealing corridors that extended deep into the ship's interior. Bioluminescent lights created a path that seemed designed to guide visitors through the vessel. It's definitely inviting us in, Sarah concluded. The question is whether we're brave enough to accept. Commander Kim checked his equipment one final time, including emergency beacons and communication devices. If we're doing this, we follow strict protocols. We stay together, we document everything, and at the first sign of danger, we retreat. They maneuvered the submersible through the entrance, experiencing a bizarre sensation as they passed through what appeared to be a force field that kept the ocean water out while maintaining breathable atmosphere inside. Their instruments confirmed that the air was not only breathable, but perfectly suited to human physiology. The interior of the ship was breathtaking. Corridors curved and flowed like living tissue, while walls displayed constantly changing patterns of light and symbol. The architecture seemed to respond to their presence, with pathways lighting up to guide them deeper into the vessel. Dr. Tanaka's readings were off the charts. The energy sources powering this ship are completely beyond our understanding, she reported. I'm detecting zero-point energy manipulation, controlled fusion reactions, and quantum field generators that shouldn't be possible with any known technology. They piloted the submersible through corridors that seemed designed for beings roughly human-sized, though the proportions were subtly different. The walls were covered with symbols that pulsed and shifted, apparently responding to their presence and creating what Dr. Torres believed might be a form of communication. These symbols are definitely trying to tell us something, he observed. The patterns are becoming more complex as we move deeper into the ship, like it's teaching us its language. They entered a vast chamber that served as some kind of central hub. The space was filled with floating holographic displays showing star charts, planetary systems, and what appeared to be navigational data spanning thousands of light years. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform containing crystalline structures that hummed with energy. "My God," whispered Dr. Tanaka. "This is a star map covering most of our galaxy. Look at these markers. They're indicating thousands of star systems with habitable planets." Sarek guided the submersible closer to the displays, amazed by the detail and scope of the information. The star charts showed not just astronomical data, but also biological information about different worlds, including Earth. Their planet was marked with symbols indicating it as a genetic research site. We're not the first, Sarah realized with growing wonder and apprehension. This ship has been to thousands of worlds, studying and cataloging life throughout the galaxy. Commander Kim was studying tactical displays that showed the ship's defensive capabilities. "This vessel is armed with weapons we can't even comprehend," he reported grimly. "Energy systems that could level cities, shields that could deflect nuclear weapons. If whoever built this wanted to conquer Earth, they could have done it easily." Dr. Torres had connected his translation equipment to the ship's computers, establishing a basic communication protocol with the vessel's artificial intelligence. Symbols began appearing on their screens, slowly forming patterns that their computers could interpret as mathematical concepts. The first message was simple: "Welcome, children of Earth. We have waited long for you to find us." The team sat in stunned silence as more messages appeared on their screens, each one more complex than the last. The ship's intelligence was ancient beyond measure, having traveled between stars for millions of years, studying the development of life on countless worlds. "Why have you been hiding on our ocean floor?" Dr. Torres typed into the communication system. The response came quickly: "Not hiding. Waiting. Watching. Guiding when necessary. Your species has shown promise, but needed time to develop before contact. Dr. Tanaka leaned forward eagerly. What kind of guidance? How long have you been influencing human development? Images began appearing on the holographic displays. Scenes from Earth's history showing the ship's intervention at crucial moments. The development of agriculture, the rise of early civilizations, technological breakthroughs that had seemed like random discoveries, but were actually carefully timed gifts. We have provided knowledge when your species was ready, the ship explained. The discovery of fire, metalworking, mathematics, astronomy, all carefully introduced when your minds could comprehend them. Sarah felt her worldview shifting as she processed these revelations. Human civilization hadn't developed independently. They'd been guided by benevolent aliens who had been watching and protecting them for thousands of years. Are you the only ones? She asked. Are there other ships, other civilizations watching us? The star map changed, highlighting dozens of systems where similar monitoring programs were active. Earth was part of a vast galactic community, but one that operated under strict non-interference protocols until species reached certain developmental milestones. Many watch, few intervene, came the reply. Your species approaches readiness for contact. Wars decrease, cooperation increases, understanding of universe grows. Soon you will be ready to join galactic community. Commander Kim was studying the tactical information with growing amazement. If you've been protecting us, what from? Are there threats out there? The displays shifted to show dark regions of space marked with warning symbols. Not all who travel between stars are benevolent, the ship explained. Your world has been protected from those who would exploit or destroy developing civilizations. Images appeared showing massive vessels of obviously hostile design, along with documentation of civilizations that had been conquered or destroyed by these forces. Earth had been shielded from these threats by a network of guardian ships like the one they had discovered. Dr. Torres was frantically recording everything, realizing they were documenting the most important moment in human history. What happens now? Will you reveal yourselves to our governments? That choice approaches, the ship responded. Your leaders must decide if humanity is ready for truth. We will provide evidence of our presence, but contact must be invited, not forced. The ship's intelligence began downloading vast amounts of information to their computers, scientific data, historical records, and cultural information from dozens of civilizations. The knowledge was almost overwhelming in its scope and implications. This is enough to advance human civilization by centuries, Dr. Tanaka breathed, watching the data streams flowing into their systems. Sarah realized they were being entrusted with information that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. The responsibility was enormous, and she wondered if their species was truly ready for such knowledge. As they prepared to leave the ship, more messages appeared on their screens. We will await your return, the intelligence said. When your leaders are ready to speak, we will be here. The choice to join the greater community must be made freely and with full understanding. The journey back to the surface was accomplished in thoughtful silence, each team member processing the magnitude of what they had learned. They carried with them proof of humanity's true origins and their place in a vast galactic civilization. As they broke through the water's surface, they knew that nothing would ever be the same. The question now was whether humanity would accept the truth and embrace their cosmic destiny or retreat into fear and isolation when faced with the reality that they were not alone in the universe. 6 months after the initial discovery, the world had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The revelation of the alien ship's existence had been released gradually to prevent global panic, but the impact was still enormous. Religious leaders struggled to reinterpret their teachings. Scientists worked frantically to understand the advanced technology, and world leaders gathered in emergency sessions to discuss humanity's response. Dr. Sarah Chun found herself at the center of a global transformation. She had been appointed as the primary liaison between human governments and the alien intelligence, a role that required her to spend weeks at a time in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, communicating with beings whose knowledge spanned millions of years. The alien ship, which had identified itself as the Seeker of Dawn, had revealed that it was just one of dozens of similar vessels positioned around Earth. Each ship served as both guardian and observer, monitoring human development while protecting the planet from hostile forces that roamed the galaxy. President Elizabeth Morrison stood before the United Nations General Assembly, addressing representatives from every nation on Earth. The weight of her words would shape humanity's future relationship with the galactic community. Fellow leaders, she began, we stand at the threshold of a new era. The evidence before us is undeniable. We are not alone in the universe, and we never have been. The question we must answer today is whether we are ready to take our place among the stars. The debate that followed was intense and sometimes bitter. Some nations wanted to immediately embrace contact with the aliens, while others feared losing their sovereignty to more advanced civilizations. Religious groups were divided between those who saw the aliens as divine messengers and those who viewed them as demons in disguise. Dr. Chen watched the proceedings via satellite link from the command ship floating above the Seeker of Dawn. She had spent the past month learning to communicate directly with the ship's intelligence, developing an understanding that went beyond simple language translation. They're afraid, she reported to Admiral Hayes, who had become her closest collaborator in managing the ongoing contact. The aliens understand human fear, but they're growing impatient with our indecision. The Seeker of Dawn had made it clear that humanity's protection from hostile alien forces was conditional on their eventual integration into the galactic community. Earth couldn't remain under Guardian protection indefinitely while refusing to acknowledge the reality of their cosmic neighborhood. Dr. Elena Volkov had been studying the biological modifications found in Earth's marine life, discoveries that painted a disturbing picture of alien intervention. They've been managing our planet's ecosystem for thousands of years, she reported to the Scientific Council. Climate control, species preservation, genetic diversity maintenance. They've been keeping Earth habitable while we developed. The implications were staggering. Humanity's survival hadn't been due to luck or natural selection alone, but rather careful management by alien gardeners who had been tending to their world like a vast biological preserve. Dr. Yuki Tanaka had been working with the advanced technology provided by the Seeker of Dawn, struggling to understand scientific principles that seemed to violate known physics. Their energy systems could solve all our environmental problems overnight, she announced to the Technology Assessment Committee. Clean unlimited power, atmosphere processors that could reverse climate change, medical technology that could eliminate disease and extend human lifespan indefinitely. But accessing this technology required a commitment that many world leaders were reluctant to make. The aliens had made it clear that advanced technology came with responsibilities. Joining the galactic community meant accepting their values of peaceful cooperation and environmental stewardship. Commander David Kim had been studying the military implications of contact with the aliens. Their defensive technology makes all human weapons obsolete, he reported to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But, more importantly, they've shown us evidence of the threats that exist out there. Without their protection, Earth would be defenseless against the hostile forces that patrol this region of the galaxy. The hostile aliens, known as the Devourers, were machine intelligences that consumed entire worlds, stripping them of resources and exterminating all biological life. Several civilizations in nearby star systems had already fallen to these forces, and only the Guardian Network was keeping them away from Earth. Dr. Michael Torres had been working to decode the complete historical records provided by the Seeker of Dawn, revealing the true story of human development. We've been shaped by alien influence from the very beginning, he announced to historians and anthropologists worldwide. The development of language, art, mathematics, all of it was guided by carefully timed interventions. Ancient monuments that had puzzled archaeologists for centuries suddenly made sense when viewed as communication beacons left by alien visitors. The pyramids, Stonehenge, Easter Island statues, all were markers indicating humanity's progress to other members of the galactic community. Religious leaders around the world struggled to reconcile their beliefs with the new reality. Father Giuseppe Martinelli, the Pope's representative to the Contact Committee, had spent weeks in theological discussions with the ship's intelligence. They speak of the divine in ways that transcend our understanding, he reported to religious councils. They see consciousness itself as sacred, viewing their role as shepherds of emerging intelligence throughout the galaxy. Meanwhile, Dr. Chun had developed an almost telepathic connection with the ship's central intelligence, allowing her to understand concepts that couldn't be translated into human language. Through this connection, she learned about the vast galactic civilization that existed beyond Earth's solar system. There are millions of inhabited worlds, she reported to the Contact Committee. Civilizations that have existed for billions of years, working together to nurture and protect developing life throughout the galaxy. Earth is just one garden in an enormous cosmic preserve. The galactic community operated under strict principles of non-interference until species reached technological and social maturity. Civilizations were judged not by their military power or technological advancement, but by their ability to cooperate peacefully and care for their environment. Humanity stands at a crossroads, the Seeker of Dawn communicated through Dr. Chun. Your species shows great promise, but also great destructive potential. The choice to join us must demonstrate your commitment to the values that allow civilizations to coexist. The test came sooner than anyone expected. Long-range sensors detected a Devourer scout ship entering Earth's solar system, probing the defenses that had protected humanity for millennia. The Guardian ships could repel the scout, but its presence meant that larger forces would follow. The protection we have provided is ending, the Seeker of Dawn announced to world leaders. Your species must choose, join the galactic community, and gain access to our collective defense systems, or face the coming threats alone. The debate in the United Nations became urgent and desperate. Some nations wanted to fight, believing that humanity should face any threat independently. Others argued for immediate acceptance of alien alliance, recognizing that survival depended on cooperation with more advanced civilizations. Dr. Chun found herself making the case for contact to world leaders who were still struggling to accept the reality of their situation. They're not asking us to surrender our independence, she argued. They're offering us membership in something greater than ourselves, a community of worlds working together for mutual protection and advancement. The turning point came when the Seeker of Dawn allowed a delegation of world leaders to experience direct mental contact with representatives of other galactic civilizations. Through this communication, they could feel the thoughts and emotions of beings from worlds thousands of light years away, all united in their commitment to protecting and nurturing life wherever it emerged. President Morrison emerged from the experience with tears in her eyes. I felt their love for us, she announced to the waiting assembly. Despite our flaws and violence, they see our potential and want us to succeed. The vote was close, but ultimately humanity chose to accept membership in the galactic community. The decision required commitments to peaceful conflict resolution, environmental protection, and cooperation in defending against common threats. Within days of the decision, the skies above Earth filled with ships as the Guardian fleet revealed itself fully for the first time. Massive vessels that had been hidden in Earth's upper atmosphere for centuries descended to establish contact centers around the globe. Dr. Chin stood on the deck of the research vessel, watching as the Seeker of Dawn rose from the ocean depths for the first time in millennia. Water cascaded from its hull as the ship broke through the surface, its bioluminescent symbols blazing with joy at finally being able to operate openly. The long wait is over, the ship's intelligence communicated to her. Humanity has taken the first step into a larger universe. The changes that followed were rapid and transformative. Alien technology began solving Earth's environmental problems, while human scientists worked alongside galactic researchers to unlock the mysteries of the universe. Disease and hunger became things of the past as advanced medical and agricultural techniques were introduced. Most importantly, humanity was no longer alone. Earth became a hub of galactic activity, with representatives from dozens of civilizations establishing permanent embassies. Human children grew up learning not just about their own world, but about the rich diversity of life that existed throughout the galaxy. Dr. Chun eventually accepted a position as Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community, traveling between star systems to learn about civilizations that had been exploring the universe since before humans evolved. But she never forgot those early days when a small research vessel had discovered something incredible in the ocean's depths. The alien ship that had waited patiently on the seafloor for thousands of years had finally fulfilled its mission. Humanity had passed their test and joined the cosmic community that spanned the galaxy. The Seeker of Dawn continued to orbit Earth, but now as a symbol of friendship rather than hidden guardianship. As Dr. Chun stood on the bridge of a ship traveling between the stars, she reflected on how far humanity had come. They had learned that they were never alone, never abandoned, always watched over by benevolent forces that wanted them to succeed. The universe was vast and full of wonders beyond imagination, and humanity had finally earned the right to explore it. The discovery in the ocean depths had revealed more than just alien technology. It had revealed humanity's true destiny among the stars. The journey was just beginning, but for the first time in their species' history, humans knew they belonged to something greater than their small blue world.